In the vast Indonesian archipelago, on the island of Sumbawa, stood a mountain that lived largely outside the annals of recorded history. Known as Mount Tambora, this volcano had slumbered for centuries, its potential for destruction unknown to the local princedoms that thrived at its base. In April 1815, this forgotten mountain awoke with unimaginable fury, producing the most powerful volcanic eruption in human memory. A catastrophe whose devastating shockwaves would ripple across the entire globe, altering climate, agriculture, and the course of human history itself. While the 1883 eruption of Krakatoa would later capture the world's imagination, it was Tambora's far greater explosion that truly reshaped the planet. This video will recount the events before, during, and after the 1815 eruption in a chronological. It seeks to rescue this monumental event from historical obscurity by analyzing its catastrophic local impact and tracing its unprecedented global consequences. The story of Tambora is more than a historical account of a natural disaster. It is a critical lesson in the profound interconnectedness of Earth's systems. It demonstrates, with terrifying clarity, the potential for a single geological event to shape human destiny on a planetary scale, offering a stark reminder of the forces that lie dormant beneath our feet. To fully grasp the magnitude of the 1815 catastrophe, one must first understand the world it destroyed. Before the eruption, Sumbawa was not a desolate outpost, but a vibrant and productive island, home to a distinct ecology and a network of thriving societies. Its landscape was likely more densely wooded than it is today, with forests providing valuable resources and fertile plains supporting a robust agricultural economy. The island's inhabitants cultivated rice, mung beans, and maize, while its forests yielded prized export commodities, including rice, honey, beeswax, birds' nests, salt, cotton, and sapanwood, a source of red dye. Sumbawa was also renowned for breeding fine horses, a sign of wealth and an important economic asset. Society was organized into 6 petty princedoms that controlled various territories across the island: Sumbawa, Bima, Dampo, Sanggar, Peket, and Tambora. Geographically, the princedoms of Peket and Tambora were located on the peninsula dominated by the volcano, placing them directly in the path of the deadliest pyroclastic flows and foreshadowing their complete annihilation. The inhabitants of these 2 princedoms were particularly notable. Contemporaries described them as very industrious and possessed sufficient wits to be able to attain to and preserve wealth. They spoke their own unique language, which was reportedly slightly similar to the language of the realm of Flores. This was a functioning, populated, and self-sufficient world, tragically unaware that the mountain looming over it was about to bring it all to a violent end. The eruption of Mount Tambora did not occur without warning, though its preliminary stirrings were poorly understood at the time. The volcano, which had not been active in living memory, began to show signs of unrest 3 years before the cataclysmic event. Beginning in 1812, a permanent, ever-darkening cloud formed over the volcano's summit. From this ominous shroud emanated a constantly louder rumbling noise, a deep and persistent tremor that unsettled the island's inhabitants. These early signs were witnessed not only by locals, but also by passing mariners. In 1814, a year before the main eruption, the British official John Crawford was accompanying an expedition to Makassar and passed close to the coast of Sumbawa. He observed clouds of ash blackening the horizon, which he and the ship's commander initially mistook for a threatening tropical squall. They prepared the vessel for a storm, but as they drew closer, the true nature of the phenomenon became apparent. Ash began to fall upon the ship's deck, a clear sign that the volcano was in a state of great activity. The period between April 5th and April 15th, 1815, marks the dramatic climax of Tambora's awakening. Over 10 days, the volcano unleashed a sequence of explosions of almost inconceivable power, culminating in a cataclysm that shook the archipelago and sent a veil of ash and gas into the stratosphere, altering the climate of the entire planet. April 5th, 1815. The eruption began with violent explosions that echoed across thousands of kilometers. The sounds were so powerful and deep that they were widely mistaken for cannon reports. In Makassar and Yogyakarta, military garrisons were put on high alert, and troops prepared to march into battle, believing a naval attack was underway. It was only when ash began to fall days later that the true volcanic nature of the event became clear. April 10, 1815. The eruption's most violent phase began around 7 p.m. The Raja of Sangar, one of the few eyewitnesses to survive in the vicinity, provided a terrifying account. He described how 3 distinct columns of flame burst forth from the crater. In a short time, the entire mountain appeared as a body of liquid fire extending itself in every direction. Between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., the situation deteriorated rapidly. Pumice stones, some as large as 2 fists, began to rain down on the village of Sangar. Soon after, between 9 and 10 p.m., a violent whirlwind tore through the area, ripping the largest trees up by their roots and blowing down nearly every house. Men, horses, and cattle were carried into the air. This was followed by a tsunami, as the sea rose nearly 12 feet, sweeping away houses and spoiling the remaining rice lands. April 11th and 12th, 1815. A period of profound darkness descended upon the region. In Surabaya, over 600 kilometers away, John Crawford recorded that on the 3rd day after the explosions, it became pitch dark. For several days, he was forced to conduct all business by candlelight. Ash fell as far away as Borneo and South Sumatra, plunging large parts of the Indonesian archipelago into darkness for 3 days, with ash falling as far as 1,300 kilometers away. The eruption physically remade the volcano. In a matter of days, Mount Tambora lost approximately 1/3 of its height, shrinking from an estimated 4,200 meters to about 2,800 meters. In place of its summit, a massive caldera was formed, a crater 6 kilometers in diameter. The scale of the eruption is difficult to comprehend. It is rated a 7 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, the second highest rating possible. The explosion dislodged a total of 150 cubic kilometers of volcanic material, of which over 100 cubic kilometers of ash, pumice, and aerosols were ejected into the atmosphere. As the final explosion subsided around April 15th, the immediate terror gave way to a silent, deadly aftermath that would unfold for years to come, first on Sumbawa and then across the world. The end of the eruption's violent phase was not the end of the disaster. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new chapter of suffering, defined by cascading crises of destruction, famine, and disease. The immediate aftermath on Sumbawa was one of utter annihilation, while neighboring islands were soon engulfed in their own wave of misery. The princedoms of Phuket and Tambora, which sat at the foot of the volcano, were completely obliterated. They were, in the words of one account, wiped off the face of the earth. None of their inhabitants, including their respective Rajas, Abdul Ghaffur of Tambora and Muhammad of Pekad, survived. As a direct consequence, the unique Tambora language became extinct, its last speakers silenced by the cataclysm. The total death toll from the direct effects of the eruption, pyroclastic flows, falling rock, and the tsunami, was estimated at 10,000 people. For the survivors elsewhere on the island, a new horror began. Sumbawa was buried under a blanket of ash averaging 50 to 60 centimeters deep. This suffocating layer destroyed all vegetation and crops. According to a contemporary report by Shell and Tobias, 95% of the rice crop was lost. Drinking water sources were polluted with ash particles, leading to outbreaks of disease, particularly severe diarrhea. A major famine took hold, exacting a devastating secondary toll. The struggle for survival became desperate. People were reduced to eating dry leaves and poisonous tubers. Horseflesh, normally a destruction of capital for a people famed for horse breeding, became a source of food. Some were driven to scavenge from the dead, digging up personal belongings buried with corpses to barter for a few kilos of rice. This environmental and social collapse triggered a mass migration. According to the naturalist Heinrich Sollinger's estimates, approximately 36,000 people fled to neighboring islands to escape the hunger and disease, while another 38,000 perished from famine and its resulting illnesses. Some survivors, having lost everything, allegedly sold themselves into slavery to traders simply to stay alive. In total, Sumbawa is estimated to have lost about 84,000 of its 170,000 inhabitants to the eruption and its immediate aftermath. The devastation was not confined to Sumbawa. The neighboring islands of Bali and Lombok, as well as parts of South Sulawesi, were badly hit by heavy ash falls, which wiped out the wet rice crops still in the fields. A serious famine ensued, intensified by rat plagues and epidemics that swept through the weakened populations. The scenes were horrific. Eyewitnesses reported seeing numerous corpses lying unburied in the streets and on beaches. The famine was so severe that some parents reportedly killed their own children because they had no food for them. The total death toll across Indonesia is estimated to have been at least 117,000. Estimates for the individual islands vary, but at least 44,000 are believed to have died in Lombok and 25,000 in Bali. A year after the eruption, its most far-reaching consequence manifested thousands of miles away in a dramatic and inexplicable shift in the global climate. The year 1816 became known in the Northern Hemisphere as the Year Without a Summer, a period of bizarre and destructive weather that caused crop failures, famine, and social upheaval. At the time, no one in Europe or North America understood that this misery was directly connected to a volcanic eruption in distant Indonesia. The scientific mechanism behind this climate disruption is now well understood. The Tambora eruption injected an enormous plume of gas and ash into the stratosphere, up to 44 kilometers high. This included an estimated 60 to 80 megatons of sulfur dioxide. In the upper atmosphere, the sulfur dioxide oxidized to form a persistent veil of sulfuric acid droplets, known as sulfate aerosols. This stratospheric veil circled the globe, partially blocking incoming sunlight and causing global average temperatures to drop by 1 to 2.5 degrees Celsius. The consequences were severe and widespread. In North America, the summer of 1816 was exceptionally cold. New England experienced repeated cold snaps with frost, hail, and even snow in June, July, and August. The entire corn crop, a staple food, was lost. This led to skyrocketing food prices, the death of livestock, and widespread hunger. For many farmers already considering a move, the disastrous year was the last straw, triggering a wave of westward migration. While in Europe, the continent was plagued by abnormally cold and rainy weather. In the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Switzerland, crops failed. Switzerland suffered a serious famine, where people resorted to eating famine foods like moss, sorrel, and cat flesh. In Ireland, the cold, wet conditions and food shortages led to a major typhoid fever outbreak. the decades following 1815, the ecology of Sumbawa slowly and painstakingly recovered. Visitors like the naturalist Heinrich Zollinger in 1847 noted a dramatically altered landscape. The destruction of the dense forest canopy by the ash fall had fundamentally altered the local hydrology and microclimate, leading to drier conditions. As a result, vast tracts of grassland had replaced the once thriving forests. In a paradoxical twist, the agent of this destruction ultimately brought renewed life. The thick layer of volcanic ash, once it was incorporated into the soil, made the rice fields in Bali, Lombok, and South Sulawesi more fertile than ever before. After a few years of famine and plague, these islands recovered with astonishing speed. Their agriculture flourished, and by the 1830s they had become the largest rice exporters in the region. The primary lesson from the 1815 eruption is a sobering one. A future eruption of similar magnitude would be even more murderously catastrophic. This stark conclusion is supported by simple demographics. In 1815, the population of Indonesia was approximately 10 million. More than 200 years later, it had grown to over 270 million. The global population has also grown astronomically, from roughly 1 billion in 1815 to more than 8 billion today. This demographic reality magnifies the lessons of 1815. The forgotten mountain of Tambora stands as a permanent, powerful reminder of nature's capacity to reshape our world. Its story is a testament to the profound, interconnected vulnerabilities of our modern global civilization, where the consequences of a single event in a remote corner of the world can be felt by all.